Let's talk about manifesting your biggest desires, but focusing on lasting results. So this will be something like if you're manifesting a relationship, your SP conforming and staying that way. So you get the consistency, the commitment, a relationship that you can rely on, that you can trust. You know how it is. It's not back and forth every 5 minutes. If you are manifesting money, it's your desired amount of abundance and wealth coming in and staying, not something where money comes in for a bit and then it stops and then comes in and then you need to manifest it again and then it stops, back and forth. The same about your health, the same about anything else that you are manifesting. I know that you have consciously manifested many things, smaller things. These are seemingly easier to manifest, not because they are small in reality or they are easier, because regardless of how easy or big your manifestation seems to be, the manifestation process is the same. And for your mind, it's all the same. It doesn't matter whether you are manifesting $1 single or $1 million. For your mind, the amount of effort or the lack of the same is the same. But when it comes to smaller things in our physical reality, we simply have less limiting beliefs around them, so they come easier. The work you need to put in is less. But when it comes to these more important topics, it tends to take time and a lot of work, and sometimes it feels like nothing is happening. This is never going to work. I want to focus specifically on those things, why that is, and what you can do. And also, I'm here to remind you that no matter how big your desire seems, you can still manifest it the exact same way you manifested that cup of coffee or that bouquet of flower or whatever else you manifested. If you need a more personalized help with your manifestation, you can of course book a one-on-one coaching session with me from the link in the description box below. I would love to help you with anything that you are manifesting. You can also join one of my Master Manifestor Mastermind groups. In that case, please send me an email from my booking page so that we find a group that is comfortable for your time zone. So let's talk about these big, important desires that you want to manifest and why that hasn't happened for you yet. I mentioned limiting beliefs and less of those when it comes to smaller manifestations. It's the same with the bigger manifestations. We have stories around those. And those stories, which are also your assumptions, your beliefs about these topics, that's the only thing keeping your manifestation away from your current reality. What we tend to do is, instead of, again, because of habits, because of how we have been living, instead of going inside and saying, okay, I'm experiencing this, so I might have, or I must have, an assumption that is manifesting this in my reality, what we do is we focus on the outside, saying this person is bad, this person is not changing, the situation is not changing, money is not coming, the reality is this or that, etc. So you put all your focus on something that has no power, that is a mirror showing you what your assumptions are. What we must do as conscious creators, conscious manifestors, is remember that regardless of what situation we are in, that is a mirror showing us what we have been thinking and imagining and believing and assuming about this topic. The same is true about your specific person. That person is not separate from you doing separate things. They are Neville Goddard calls people messengers or a mirror showing you your own assumptions, because you can only experience your own assumptions. You can only experience your manifestations, whether you did that on purpose or not. People often forget that the things that we didn't manifest on purpose, so consciously, are not manifestations, they just happened, so now I have to manifest something else. Everything is a manifestation. That unwanted circumstance that you accidentally manifested is a manifestation. So never forget this. And how to not forget this? Simply repeat it to yourself until it gets into your head that this is the way it works. Imagination creates reality, and whatever reality I'm in is manifested. It's not about that person being like that, or it's not about that person not changing, or it's not about my bank account not showing something else, or money not coming in, or my health not improving, or etc. Fill in the blank. It's about me having assumptions that are simply opposing my desired outcome. I specifically mentioned lasting results in the beginning of this video. And that is very important because what I'm seeing, both from clients and from your comments, and again, my own past experiences, is that we are so habituated to focus on the outside that when something doesn't go right away, we leave the work that we were doing and we start again blaming and judging. And but when I say judging, it's the situation is like this and that's just how it is. Nobody is making this much money with this kind of work, or I can't do this because of whatever reason. So whenever you start finding explanations why something isn't working, and that explanation is not your own assumptions but something outside of you, you're doing something that is completely useless. It's not going to change anything. It's not going to bring you from point A to point B. So create this habit and create this affirmation and affirm it to yourself several times a day that whatever I'm experiencing, this unwanted situation is my own manifestation. And therefore, if I can manifest this, I can manifest a different version of the same situation or the same person. When it comes to these big manifestations, and you may say, oh, isn't it wrong to label them big? Because you just said that nothing is big or small, it's all the same for your mind, for your subconscious mind. I'm saying this on purpose. Let's call these manifestations big desires. The love of your life, your relationship of your life, the abundance and the health that you want, etc. Let's, for the sake of this video, call these big, important desires. Why? Because it's easy to comprehend that I can manifest a free cup of coffee or a whatever, smaller thing. But when it comes to a lasting relationship where you are adored the way you want to be adored, where you are safe and secure and in this wonderful environment that you want to be in, and even though that is, yes, big, important, etc., the same with money. When you want the wealth that you actually want, not what you think you can have. This is one of the things that I want you to focus on. We're not talking about what you, from your current circumstance, think you can have, what you think is possible, what you actually desire to have. Take a moment to remove all those, I think this is possible, I think I could have this easier. Remove all that and be honest with yourself and ask yourself, what do I actually want, regardless of anything that is happening in the 3D? And now my next question is, and I want you to ask yourself this question. Why is it that you think you can't have that? Why do you think, or why don't you think that you can have that big love where you just receive love just because you deserve it, or why you can't have that amount of money or that kind of health, yes, at your age, whatever age you are in, or anything else that you desire, why do you think you can't have that? The answer to that is probably going to be a list, and that is your problem. Not because that's true, because truth is subjective. You are going to experience your own subjective truth because there are no universal truths to those things. We experience our assumptions. When that's done, in those important topics, life-changing topics that you want to keep experiencing and having them like stable in your life, it is inevitable to talk about self-concept, because you can manifest, and this is the reason why so many people say, oh, you don't have to do self-concept, you can manifest your SP back. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Your SP will come back, and all your self-concept assumptions will manifest. And most of the case, you don't want that. So the question that I asked earlier, this is very related to self-concept. Why do I think that I can't have that? Because many of you think that other people can have that. How are you different? When you ask this question, a lot of self-concept work can be done only because of this. Just this one question can bring up so much self-concept that you can work on. Don't ignore this, because once your self-concept is changed, that is simply going to be on autopilot, manifesting everywhere. By self-concept, I don't mean just the self-love, which is super important. Don't ignore that. Self-love, self-worth, don't ignore that. But another part of this self-concept is that, and please let me know in the comments if you have noticed this, I work with people from so many different countries, so many different cultures that have nothing to do with each other. People from all these different cultures, same pattern. We live in a society that teaches us, first of all, everything that we learn from the society, which are all our limiting beliefs. These are learned because we live in a society that doesn't know that we're manifesting, so we simply learn to manipulate and micromanage the 3D, the mirror. But apart from that, and based on that, because of that, we are taught to put aside our actual desires to become a comfortable person for everyone around us. We are constantly trained since we are small that our desires are less important. We need to be a good person and do things for other people. So you constantly learn to push aside your own desires, your own needs. Not just the needs, also the desires. The desires are just as important. And you start, this is where people pleasing come in, but we learn that it's a good thing. You're being a good person, that you are not loving yourself, that you are being a good person, that you are not taking care of yourself, that you take care of all the other people. All the other people being you pushed out. So this is, we have put ourselves in this absurd situation where what we are doing is not working. So everyone is you pushed out, of course. Everything that everyone says is a reflection of your assumptions that you have learned, etc. It doesn't matter when you learned that. It was probably in childhood, but that doesn't matter. What matters is that you recognize the patterns, you learn the assumptions, and you change those. So your desires matter. And when you manifest your desires, now this is part manifestation, part sort of not. A happy, satisfied human being is the most comfortable, most beautiful person to be around. So do everyone a favor and manifest your desires. You deserve that. Plus, you decide, you have been given the power to choose what you think about yourself, which then will manifest. So make sure to recognize this pattern, whether you have learned that your desires just don't matter. And what ends up happening is that you suppress your desires, you suppress your emotions, that manifests as not just stress and frustration and unhappiness, but that also manifests as physical disease. We all know that every physical experience we have is a manifestation of our mind, and you have the power to manifest all that. When something is not manifesting and staying, not lasting, well, we are the source. So you are the source. This is not about blaming, but understanding that you are the cause of every effect. Most of the time, and this is the reason why I brought up how we learn to put ourselves aside and do everything for everyone else. Because of this habitual living like this, when we have a desire and we want to manifest and we have discovered that manifestation is a thing, that's how things work, we don't commit to our manifestations. And this is like, if you take anything anything from this video, make it be this. We simply have the habit of not committing to ourselves. And then we complain that other person doesn't commit to us. But another question to ask yourself, are you committed to yourself? And what does this mean when it comes to manifestation? When you decide that you want that person, or when you decide that you want that amount of money and that vibrant health, are you committed to that manifestation? And by the way, side note, this is why just decide doesn't work, because we have assumptions. And I have made a whole video about why just deciding doesn't work. So just a side note, you have to commit to yourself, to your desired outcome, to your manifestation. So when you decide that you want that person, you have to commit to the work that you decided to do, regardless of how that person is currently behaving in your 3D. When you decide that you want that amount of money and you decide you are going to commit to the mental work, to your end goal, regardless of what is going on in the 3D. Now, if there's a 3D situation that you need to take care of right away, do that. This is not about it. It's about committing mentally to your desired outcome. If you are not committed, the result is not going to be committed either. If you are not doing the work until your new story stabilizes in your mind, it's not going to stabilize in your 3D either. Your 3D is a mirror forever showing you what you are doing in your mind. So no, this is not about whether that person is good or bad or like that, or stubborn. This is something that I hear a lot. My SP is so stubborn. No, you are the stubborn one because you keep imagining your person the way they are. You need to commit to your end goal. You need to be consistent. And you need to do, I talked about self-love. Do that out of self-love. I love myself, so I deserve to have this beautiful desire in my experience. Therefore, I am going to commit to it regardless of anything. This is what this is about. When you do that, whatever feels so real and so fixed and so unchangeable in this moment, in your current experience, is going to fade away in a way that at some point you don't even remember you had those beliefs. And I can tell you this from own experience of many, many things, including and especially manifesting a self-concept. changed my life. And when I think back, the assumptions that I had about myself, it's like thinking about a different person. It doesn't resonate. Stuff like, oh, I can't have that. Like, why would I think that I can't have that? What is this? Who taught me that? Somebody taught you that. So when you commit and you change your inner world, it will change like magic in a way that it will stabilize in a way that your new beautiful assumptions about yourself, what you can or cannot have, will feel so realistic and so natural and normal that will become your new normal. And then it has to manifest in the physical 3D. But sometimes it happens simultaneously, you know? It's not like you need to always be in the perfect place for something to manifest. Sometimes things start moving before you realize you're ready. It happens. And then that's just encouraging, more encouraging to do the work. Regardless of how it goes, you need to commit to yourself. And that is where lasting results come from. Because when you commit until your assumptions have changed, when these are changed, they become an autopilot. What I mean when I say that my self-concept work changed my life was that it impacted every area. So this is why I recommend always focusing on self-concept, but you don't have to ignore your specific goal, your specific manifestation. You can do both. You can include your self-concept in any other manifestation. So do this and make sure that you commit to yourself. Ask yourself these questions. Like, first of all, why do I think? Genuinely, why is it that I think that I can't have this? Based on that, you do the whole work. And then you decide, I deserve my desire. Again, first of all, let me finish the video saying this, something that I have said in many other videos. Every single client that I have worked with, and I have worked with many, I've been coaching for years. Every single person wants something good, something that revolves around happiness. Like, it's something about happiness. It's either love or money or health or a good relationship with yourself or some pleasant thing that will benefit everyone involved. Because when you're manifesting a specific person, you are creating that happy relationship for that other person too. And many of you have families. When you are manifesting happy and your own health, that will just make it easier for everyone involved in your life. When you are manifesting health and well-being for yourself, it makes life easier for everyone involved in your life, in your relationships. So therefore, yes, you deserve your desires and you can have those. It simply depends on dishabituating, unlearning this thing we do that we, as soon as something is not what we want it to be, instead of going inwards, we go outwards. Like, oh, that person is this and that, or economy is bad, or the situation is this, they're stubborn, whatever is happening in the 3D. Make it become a habit to go inwards instead. That is where all your solutions come from. And yeah, you can have that big desire, because why not? Long story short, you deserve your desires and you can manifest them. You need to commit to yourself first. If you need a more personalized help with your manifestations, you can of course book a one-on-one coaching session with me from the link in the description box below. I would love to help you with anything that you are manifesting. You can also join one of my Master Manifestor Mastermind groups. In that case, please send me an email from my booking page so that we can find a group that is comfortable for your time zone. Have a beautiful day and see you in the next video.